The first sign something was wrong came when I found my bedroom door slightly ajar. I always close it fully, a habit from growing up with a sister who thought privacy was optional. The second sign was the faint scent of my mother's signature perfume lingering in the air. Chanel number 5 mixed with desperation. My name is Taylor, and I just inherited nearly everything my grandfather owned, which, as it turns out, was a lot more than anyone expected. The will reading earlier that day had been a masterclass in barely concealed rage. I can still see my mother's perfectly manicured nails digging into the leather armrest, leaving little half moon indentations as the lawyer read out the details. To my granddaughter Taylor, I leave the majority of my estate, including the main residence, summer properties, and investment portfolios. My sister Soleil's face had turned an interesting shade of purple. Dad just stared straight ahead, jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might shatter. But Mom, she was the real show. Her smile never wavered, even as her eyes turned to ice. Darling, we're so happy for you, she'd said afterward, pulling me into a hug that felt more like a python's embrace. Though we are a bit concerned about the responsibility. You've always been so sensitive. Now, standing in my childhood bedroom, I methodically checked my drawers. They'd been careful, but not careful enough. The stack of letters from Grandpa Harold was slightly out of order. My journal had been moved half an inch to the left. They were looking for something, probably evidence of the instability they'd been trying to pin on me since I was 15. I pulled out my phone and called Cruz, my lawyer and the only friend I truly trusted. They've been in my room, I said when he picked up. Already? Damn, they're moving fast. You sure? Unless my mother's expensive perfume suddenly grew legs and walked in here by itself? Yeah, I'm sure. Remember what we discussed, Cruz said. Document everything. Take photos. Don't confront them yet. I know. I walked to my window, watching my sister's Mercedes pull into the driveway. But something bigger is coming. I can feel it. Your grandfather warned us they might try something like this. That's why we prepared. He was right. Grandpa Harold hadn't just left me his money, he'd left me his wisdom too. Watch them closely after I'm gone, he'd told me during our last private conversation. Your mother, especially, she'll try to take it all back. She always does. A soft knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. Taylor? Sweetie? Soleil's voice dripped with artificial concern. Mom and Dad want to talk to you about setting up some financial advisors. You know, to help you manage everything. I took a deep breath, slipped my phone into my pocket, and opened the door. My sister stood there in her designer outfit, perfect makeup, and practiced smile. The family favorite, the stable one. Sure, I said, matching her fake warmth. Let me just freshen up first. Of course. She touched my arm gently. We're all here for you. You know that, right? We just want what's best for you. I watched her walk away, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors. In the distance, I could hear my parents' voices in the study, speaking in urgent whispers, plotting. They thought I was the weak one, the black sheep, the emotional basket case they could manipulate and control. They had no idea I'd been recording everything since the moment Grandpa Harold died, no idea that Cruz and I had already anticipated their every move. I pulled out my phone again and sent Cruz a quick text. It's starting. Get everything ready. His response came immediately. Already on it. Don't let them see you sweat. I looked at myself in the mirror, straightened my shoulders, and practiced my own version of Mom's perfect smile. They wanted to play games? Fine. But this time, I was writing the rules. Walking down the hallway toward the study, I could hear Mom's voice getting clearer. We need to move quickly before she realizes. She stopped abruptly when I opened the door. Three pairs of eyes turned to me, all wearing identical masks of concern. Taylor, honey, Mom said, patting the seat next to her. Come sit. We need to talk about your future. I sat down, noting how they had positioned themselves around me. Mom to my left, Dad blocking the door, Soleil perched on the armrest like a vulture. Of course, I said sweetly. I'm all ears. Let them think they had me cornered. Let them think I was still that scared little girl they could control. They were about to learn what Grandpa Harold had known all along. I wasn't just his heir, I was his revenge. I wasn't supposed to hear the phone call, but old houses have thin walls, and my sister never learned to speak quietly when she's angry. Mom, she's not falling for it. Soleil's voice drifted through the vent connecting our rooms. She just sits there with that stupid smile, acting all perfect and composed. I pressed my ear against the wall, phone recording in hand. After 3 days of their concerned family routine, I'd installed a small camera in the hallway and started recording every conversation I could catch. Patience, darling, Mom's voice crackled through the speaker. Dr. Wagner says we need documented instances of erratic behavior. Just keep pushing her buttons. You know how to get under her skin. What if she actually keeps it together? Then we create situations where she can't. I've already spoken to Roberto about increasing her medication dosage. A few extra pills in her evening tea should do the trick. My blood ran cold. They were planning to drug me. Again. Memories of my teenage years flooded back, feeling dizzy, confused, being told I was having episodes I couldn't remember. I texted Cruz. Need to meet. Now. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in his office downtown, playing back the recording. Jesus, Cruz muttered, running a hand through his hair. They're actually going to try it. Your grandfather was right. Who's this Dr. Wagner they mentioned? Cruz typed something into his computer. Give me a minute. Here we go. Elena Wagner. But Taylor, she's not a doctor. She's an actress, mostly small theater productions, a few local commercials. Haven't seen any work from her in the last year, though. I leaned forward to look at the screen. The headshot showed a woman in her 50s trying hard to look 40. They hired a fake psychiatrist? Looks like it. Want to guess who's paying her rent now? Cruz showed me some bank statements. Your father's been making monthly deposits to her account since last week. My phone buzzed. A text from Soleil. Where are you? Mom's worried sick. You can't just disappear like this. 3 more messages followed in quick succession. This is exactly what we're worried about. You're acting so unstable. Please come home before we have to call someone. They're building their paper trail, Cruz said, reading over my shoulder. Every text, every concerned phone call, it's all ammunition for their case. Then let's build our own. I stood up and started pacing. The cameras I installed caught Mom going through my room. We have the recording of them planning to drug me. What else do we need? We need them to reveal their whole plan, preferably on camera with witnesses. Cruz pulled out a legal pad. And I think I know how we can do it. He outlined his idea. It was bold, dangerous even, but it might just work. You'll need to play along, he warned. Let them think their plan is working. Can you do that? I thought about all the years of gaslighting, the manipulation, the way they'd made me doubt my own sanity. Oh, I can do better than that. I'll give them exactly what they want. The perfect victim. Back at home, I found Mom waiting in the kitchen. Where have you been? She rushed to hug me, her voice pitched high with artificial worry. We've been so concerned. Sorry, I mumbled, making my hands shake slightly as I reached for a glass of water. I just needed some air. Everything feels so overwhelming. Her eyes lit up at my apparent vulnerability. Oh, sweetie, that's exactly what we've been worried about. You know, we have this wonderful doctor friend who'd love to talk with you. Maybe. I let my voice quiver. Maybe you're right. I haven't been feeling quite myself. Of course we're right, darling. She pressed a cup of tea into my hands. Here, drink this. It'll help calm your nerves. I pretended to sip it, watching her watch me. When she turned to the sink, I poured it into the nearby plant. I think I'll go lie down, I said, making sure to stumble slightly as I stood. Good idea, sweetheart. We'll talk more when you're feeling better. In my room, I pulled out my phone and texted Cruz. They took the bait. Time for phase 2? His response came quickly. Officer Bennett is on board. How soon do you want to do this? I thought about the tea, about how easily they'd tried to drug me again, about all the years of making me think I was crazy. Tell Bennett to be ready. We're doing this tomorrow. I could hear Mom on the phone in her study, probably calling Dr. Wagner to set everything up. Let them think they were in control. Let them think they'd won. Tomorrow they'd learn what real instability looks like. The family dinner was Mom's idea. Just a quiet evening with our dear friend Elena, she'd said, smoothing her silk blouse. She's so looking forward to meeting you. I sat at our massive dining room table, watching the woman who called herself Dr. Wagner delicately cut into her salmon. She was good, I'll give her that. The wire rimmed glasses, the measured movements, the way she casually dropped psychiatric terms into conversation. She'd clearly done her homework. Taylor, Elena said, dabbing her lips with a napkin. Your mother tells me you've been feeling overwhelmed lately. That's perfectly natural after such a significant life change. Oh, yes, I said, letting my hand tremble as I reached for my water glass. Everything feels so intense. I knocked the glass over slightly, spilling some water. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's fine, sweetie. Mom jumped in, shooting Elena a meaningful look. These little accidents have been happening more frequently, haven't they? Soleil nodded eagerly. Just yesterday, she was talking to herself in the garden. I heard her saying the strangest things about cameras and revenge. I had been talking to Cruz on my phone's earpiece, but they didn't need to know that. Fascinating, Elena murmured, scribbling in her little notebook. And how long have you been experiencing these episodes? Episodes? I widened my eyes, channeling my inner drama student. Is that what these are? I thought I was just tired. Taylor has always been delicate, Dad chimed in, speaking for the first time. Ever since she was a teenager, we've tried so hard to help her. By drugging my tea? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Everyone froze. Elena recovered first. What makes you say that, Taylor? Oh, I don't know. I started giggling, high and nervous. Sometimes I taste something funny, and then everything gets fuzzy. Like last night. Mom's fork clattered against her plate. Taylor, sweetheart, you're confused. Nobody's drugging you. But I heard you and Soleil talking about my medication. Through the vent, you said to put extra pills. You see? Soleil interrupted, voice thick with fake concern. These paranoid delusions, she's getting worse. Elena leaned forward, all professional concern. Taylor, how would you feel about coming to my office tomorrow? We could talk more privately about these concerns. Your office? I smiled sweetly. You mean the community theater on 7th Street? The color drained from Elena's face. Mom's hand tightened around her wine glass. I don't, I'm not sure what you mean, Elena stammered. Oh, I saw you there yesterday. That monologue you were practicing, what was it? To be or not to be? Very moving, though I prefer your current performance. I gestured around the table. The concerned psychiatrist role really suits you. Taylor? Mom's voice cracked like a whip. That's enough! Is it? I pulled out my phone. Because I have some interesting recordings I'd like to share, like the one where you and Soleil discuss having me declared mentally unfit, or the one where Dad arranges payments to our guest here. Dad stood up so quickly his chair fell backward. Give me that phone! Roberto, sit down, Mom hissed. Taylor's clearly having another episode. Elena, please tell me you're documenting this. Elena was already gathering her things, panic clear in her eyes. I should go. But the show's just getting started, I said, pressing a button on my phone. In fact, our audience is already here. On cue, Cruz walked in through the front door, followed by Officer Bennett and two other police officers. Mom's face went from angry red to ghostly white in seconds. What is this? She whispered. This, Cruz said, pulling out some papers, is a sting operation. Elena Wagner, you're under arrest for practicing medicine without a license and conspiracy to commit fraud. You can't prove anything, Soleil shrieked, but her voice shook. I stood up slowly, enjoying the moment. Actually, we can. Every conversation, every planning session, every attempt to drug me, it's all recorded. The cameras I installed caught everything. Cameras? Mom's voice was barely audible. Grandpa Harold taught me well, I said, watching the officers handcuff Elena. He always said the best defense is a good offense. Oh, and Mom? That tea you've been serving me? I had it tested. The lab results make for interesting reading. Dad lunged for me, but Officer Bennett caught him. Don't make this worse for yourself, sir. I walked over to my mother, who sat frozen in her chair. You know what the funny thing is? All these years you've been calling me unstable, paranoid, delusional. But I'm not the one who just got caught trying to frame their own daughter. Tears streaked her perfect makeup. We were only trying to protect you. No, I said softly. You were trying to protect yourselves. And now everyone's going to know exactly what kind of protection that was. As the officers led Elena away, I could hear Soleil sobbing in the background, but all I felt was a cold, clear sense of satisfaction. The game wasn't over yet, but I'd just won the first round. The old, leather bound journal fell open in my lap, its pages yellow with age. Ingrid, my grandfather's housekeeper for 30 years, had pressed it into my hands after the police left. Your grandfather wanted you to have this, she'd said, her weathered hands trembling, but only after you'd proven yourself strong enough to face what's inside. Now, sitting in Grandpa Harold's study, I read his careful handwriting by lamplight. March 15th, 2008. Laurel took 2.3 mallards from the family trust today. When confronted, she blamed Taylor, 15, for forging signatures. The girl was drugged and confused when questioned. I know my daughter is lying, but I can't prove it without destroying the family. My hands shook as memories flooded back. That spring when everything went fuzzy. Mom insisting I'd done terrible things I couldn't remember. The special tea that made the world spin. My phone buzzed. Cruz calling. Taylor, you need to see this, he said without preamble. I've been digging through your grandfather's old financial records. There's a pattern of unauthorized withdrawals going back decades. I know. I'm reading about it now. I flipped through more pages. Grandpa knew. He knew everything. That's not all. Your mother had you committed for 3 days in 2008. The records were sealed because you were a minor, but I found them. The room tilted sideways. What? It gets worse. The doctor who signed the commitment papers, he lost his license 2 years later for taking bribes to commit difficult teenagers. A knock at the study door made me jump. Ingrid stood there, looking nervous. Miss Taylor, there's something else you should see. She led me to the basement, to a wall of old filing cabinets. Your grandfather kept everything, every receipt, every document. He knew someday you'd need proof. The cabinet drawer squealed as she pulled it open. Inside, perfectly organized, was a folder labeled Laurel Fraud Evidence. He wanted to stop her, Ingrid said softly, but she threatened to destroy you if he did. Said she'd make sure you'd never be believed again. My hands trembled as I opened the folder. Bank statements, forged signatures, photos of Mom meeting with shady lawyers, and medical records. So many medical records. They didn't just drug me that one time, did they? Ingrid's eyes filled with tears. It started when you were 13. Anytime you asked too many questions about the family money, your mother would say you were having an episode and put something in your food. And Grandpa just watched it happen? Anger surged through me. No, miss. He was gathering evidence, building a case. That's why he left you everything. He knew you'd be strong enough to finish what he started. My phone buzzed again, a text from Cruz. Found something big. Come to the office now. 20 minutes later, I stared at Cruz's computer screen in shock. Is this real? Very. He pointed to the offshore account numbers. Your mother didn't just steal from the family trust. She's been embezzling from your grandfather's charitable foundation for years, millions diverted through shell companies. Can we prove it? Better? He grinned. Or we can get her arrested for it. International wire fraud is federal territory. I sat back, mind racing. She'll claim I'm making it up. Play the poor, unstable daughter card again. Not this time. Cruz pulled out a USB drive. Your grandfather left this in my care. It's security footage from his home office. Shows your mother accessing his computer, making transfers, and the best part? Shows her deliberately drugging your tea when you started asking questions. My hands clenched into fists. I want to destroy her. Taylor, Cruz's voice softened. Are you sure? This isn't just revenge anymore. This is prison time. You don't understand. She didn't just steal money. She stole my sanity, made me doubt everything about myself, every memory, every feeling. My voice cracked. She made me think I was crazy. Okay, he nodded slowly. But we do this right. By the book. No mistakes she can use against you. I pulled out Grandpa's journal. We'll use everything, the journal, the footage, the financial records. Show everyone exactly who Laurel really is. It'll break her. Good. I stood up, suddenly energized. She broke me first. Now it's her turn. As I left Cruz's office, my phone lit up with a text from Soleil. Mom's having a breakdown. This is all your fault. How could you do this to your own family? I typed back, family doesn't drug family. Family doesn't steal and lie and manipulate. But don't worry, sis. Mom's breakdown, that's just the beginning. The truth was coming out, piece by devastating piece, and this time, no amount of specialty could make it go away. Run it by me one more time, Officer Bennett said, leaning over the conference room table. I want every detail perfect. Cruz spread out the surveillance photos. The intervention is scheduled for tomorrow at 2 p.m. Taylor's family thinks they're staging an emergency mental health evaluation. What they don't know is we've got cameras in every room and officers stationed outside. I pointed to the blueprint of my family's house. Mom will lead the show, she always does. She'll have Elena there to play doctor, probably with some forged medical documents. Soleil will cry on cue, Dad will act concerned, but let Mom do the talking. And you're sure they'll incriminate themselves? Bennett asked. Trust me, I said. Give my mother an audience and she'll monologue like a Bond villain, especially if she thinks she's winning. My phone buzzed, a text from Soleil. Family meeting in an hour, don't be late, we're all so worried about you. Here we go, I muttered, showing them the message. Cruz grabbed my arm. Remember? Let them talk. The more they say, the more evidence we get. I nodded, but my hands were shaking. Not from fear, from anticipation. The family meeting was exactly what I expected. Mom paced the living room like a caged tiger, while Dad and Soleil flanked me on the couch. Darling, Mom said, her voice dripping with fake concern, we've all noticed how erratic you've been lately. The accusations, the paranoid behavior, the cameras, Soleil added helpfully. She thinks we're spying on her. I forced my voice to quiver. But I heard you. The recordings. See? Mom gestured dramatically. These delusions. Tomorrow we're having a dear friend come over, a wonderful doctor who can help you understand what's happening. The same doctor who was just arrested? I asked innocently. Mom's smile flickered for just a second. That unfortunate misunderstanding has been cleared up. Elena is a highly respected professional. Who's been paying her rent? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Dad stood up suddenly. That's enough. You're sick, Taylor. You need help. Like the help you gave me when I was 15. I watched Mom's face pale. The special tea? The mystery pills? You're confused, Mom said sharply. Roberto, she's getting hysterical. Get her medication. No! I jumped up, playing my part. No more pills. No more tea. Soleil, call Elena, Mom ordered. Tell her we need her tonight instead. This can't wait until tomorrow. I ran to my room, slamming the door, but not before catching Mom's satisfied smile. Everything was going according to their plan. And mine. An hour later, Elena arrived, looking nervous but determined. They'd probably paid her extra for the emergency visit. Taylor? She knocked on my door. It's Dr. Wagner. Your family asked me to speak with you. I opened the door, letting her see my tear streaked face. They're trying to drug me again. Now, Taylor, she said soothingly, these paranoid thoughts. I have proof! I grabbed my phone. I recorded everything. Give me that phone! Dad lunged forward, but I dodged. Roberto, Mom snapped. Let Elena handle this. Taylor, sweetheart, you're having an episode. Let us help you. Like you helped me before? I played the recording, Mom's voice discussing medication dosages with Soleil. Mom's face turned to stone. That recording is clearly doctored. Elena, you're witnessing exactly what we discussed. The paranoid delusions, the accusations. The truth? I suggested. Enough! Mom's mask finally cracked. You ungrateful little. Do you know how hard we worked to keep you under control? How much money we spent on doctors who would cooperate? Mom, Soleil warned, but it was too late. Keep me under control? I repeated. Why? Because I asked questions? Because I knew about the missing money? Because you were going to ruin everything, Mom screamed. Just like you're trying to do now. Elena, do something. Elena stepped forward, pulling out a prescription pad. Perhaps a strong sedative. Actually, I said clearly, I think we have everything we need. The front door opened. Officer Bennett walked in, followed by his team and Cruz. What's this? Mom whispered. This, Cruz said, is what actual evidence looks like, not forged documents or fake diagnoses, but real, recorded confessions of long term abuse and medical fraud. You can't, Mom started, but her voice failed. We can, Bennett said, and we will. Elena Wagner, you're under arrest. Again, Mrs. Jensen, you too. The FBI will be very interested in those cooperative doctors you mentioned. As the officers read them their rights, I caught Soleil's eye. She looked terrified. Don't worry, sis. I said softly. I'm sure there's a doctor somewhere who can help you deal with all this, one with an actual license. The game was over, and this time I'd won more than just my freedom. I'd won my truth. The police station's interrogation room was cold, but Mom's glare was colder. She sat across from me, her perfect makeup starting to crack after 6 hours in custody. You can still fix this, she said, her voice hoarse. Tell them you made it all up, that you were confused, emotional after your grandfather's death. I leaned forward, placing Grandpa Harold's journal on the table between us. Like I was confused when I caught you stealing from his accounts, or emotional when you drugged me to keep me quiet. I was protecting you. She slammed her hand on the table. You were out of control, asking dangerous questions. About the missing millions? The offshore accounts? Or about what really happened to Grandpa Harold's first will? Her face went white. What are you talking about? I pulled out a document from my folder, a copy of an earlier will dated just 2 months before his death, the one where he left everything to charity, the one that mysteriously disappeared after your last private meeting with him. Where did you get that? Ingrid kept copies of everything. I watched her perfectly manicured nails dig into her palms, including the security footage from that day. Want to explain why Grandpa signed a new will right after drinking the tea you brought him? The door opened. Cruz walked in with Officer Bennett and a sharp suited woman I didn't recognize. Mrs. Jensen, the woman said. I'm Special Agent Torres with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. We need to discuss some irregular transactions from your father's charitable foundation. Mom's lawyer, a nervous man with sweat stains under his arms, jumped in. My client has nothing to say without. Actually, I interrupted, I think she has a lot to say about forged signatures, drug tea, and convenient new wills. You ungrateful little. Mom started to rise, but Bennett's hand on her shoulder kept her seated. Mrs. Jensen, Torres said, we've frozen all associated accounts. We know about the shell companies, the offshore transfers, the bribes to medical professionals. The only question is, how deep do you want this hole to get? Mom's facade cracked completely. You have no idea what it was like, living under his control, watching him favor her over everyone else. She didn't deserve any of it. So, you decided to take it? I asked quietly. By any means necessary. He was going to give everything away to strangers, our family's money, our legacy. Your criminal enterprise? Torres corrected. We've traced systematic fraud going back 15 years. Your daughter wasn't asking dangerous questions, she was asking the right ones. The door opened again. Dad was led in, looking defeated. Soleil followed, mascara streaking her cheeks. Daddy, she whimpered, make this stop. But Dad just slumped in his chair. It's over, Laurel. They found the original documents, all of them. Roberto! Mom's voice cracked like a whip. Don't you dare! They know about the doctor in Switzerland, he continued, the one who helped us with Taylor's treatment records. He's already talking to save himself. I felt my breath catch. Switzerland? Cruz touched my shoulder. We found records of payments to a private clinic, dates matching your episodes as a teenager. The room started spinning. You sent me to Switzerland? When? You were sick. Mom's voice rose hysterically. We had to do something before you ruined everything. You mean before I exposed everything? I corrected, my voice steady despite the nausea rising in my throat. Torres laid out more documents. Mrs. Jensen, we have evidence of international wire fraud, medical abuse, conspiracy, and that's just the start. Your cooperation now could make a significant difference in sentencing. Sentencing? Soleil squeaked. Mom, what are they talking about? Federal prison, Bennett said flatly. Unless she starts talking. Mom looked around the room wildly, like a trapped animal. Her eyes landed on me, and for a moment I saw something I'd never seen before fear. Taylor, she whispered, you can't do this to your own mother. I stood up slowly, gathering my documents. You're right, I can't do this to you. I paused at the door. But your own actions can and did. Wait, she called out. I'll tell you everything about the money, the will, all of it. Just don't leave me here. I turned back one last time. Like you left me in Switzerland? As I walked out, I could hear her starting to talk, spilling secrets like poison. Cruz followed me into the hallway. You okay? He asked. No, I said honestly. But I will be. What happens now? Now? He smiled grimly. Now we watch justice do its job, and you start living your life without their shadows hanging over you. Behind us, Mom's voice rose and fell, confessing crimes I hadn't even known about. Each word was another brick in the prison she'd built for herself. And for the first time in my life, I felt truly, completely free. The headlines hit like a tsunami. Prominent family's dark secret exposed. Mother drug daughter to hide $1 million fraud. Fake doctor scheme leads to federal investigation. I sat in Cruz's office, watching the morning news coverage spiral. Blair Murray, a local journalist with a reputation for ruthlessness, was having a field day. Sources say the family matriarch orchestrated a decades long campaign of medical abuse and financial fraud. Blair reported, standing outside the courthouse. The victim, her own daughter, was systematically drugged and gaslighted to prevent her from exposing the truth. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since the story broke. Old classmates, distant relatives, even former teachers, all claiming they'd always known something was wrong. Turn it off, Cruz suggested, closing his laptop. You don't need to watch this. Yes, I do. I picked up the morning paper. Look at this. Mom's social club has already expelled her. Dad's business partners are distancing themselves. Soleil's wedding got canceled. That bothers you? No. Yes. I don't know. I ran my hands through my hair. I wanted justice, not this circus. The door burst open. Speak of the devil, Soleil stormed in, looking like hell. Are you happy now? She screamed, throwing a magazine at me. Our family drama was splashed across the cover. You've destroyed everything. Your mother did that all by herself, Cruz said calmly, reaching for his phone. Don't bother calling security, she spat. I'm not leaving until she hears what she's done. My fiance left me. My friends won't return my calls. Everything we built was built on lies, I finished, and stolen money. And my drug tea. You could have handled this privately. Instead, you had to make it this spectacle. I stood up slowly. Like the spectacle you made of my mental illness? The show you put on every time I got too close to the truth? That was different. We were protecting you. From what? The truth? That mom was stealing millions? That you all knew about the drugs? That I spent time in a Swiss clinic I don't even remember? Soleil's face crumpled. You weren't supposed to find out about Switzerland. But I did, just like I found out about everything else. I picked up the magazine she'd thrown. The truth has a way of coming out, sis. Maybe that's what you should tell Mom during visiting hours. Mom's not eating, she whispered. She just sits there, staring at the wall. Dad's lawyer says he might take a plea deal. Smart man. How can you be so cold? They're our parents. No, I corrected her. They're criminals who happen to raise us. There's a difference. A knock at the door interrupted us. Officer Bennett entered, looking grim. Taylor, we need you to come down to the station. There's been a development. What kind of development? Your mother tried to hang herself in her cell this morning. The world tilted sideways. Soleil let out a choked sob. Is she? I couldn't finish the question. She's alive. Guards got to her in time, but she's asking for you. I looked at Cruz, who nodded slowly. I'll come with you. The drive to the detention center was silent. Soleil had insisted on coming, mascara running down her face. When we arrived, a doctor was waiting to brief us. She's stable, he said. But the incident triggered a psychological evaluation. We found concerning things in her blood work. What kind of things? I asked. The same medications she used on you. She's been self medicating for years, possibly decades. Soleil grabbed my arm. What does that mean? It means, I said slowly, that Mom's been living in her own twisted reality for a very long time. They led us to the medical wing. Mom lay handcuffed to the bed, looking small and broken, nothing like the towering figure who'd terrorized my childhood. Taylor, she whispered when she saw me. I'm sorry, I'm so, so sorry. Save it, I said, but my voice shook. You're only sorry you got caught. No, I'm sorry I became my mother. She closed her eyes. She did the same things to me, the pills, the control, the secrets. I promised I'd never, but I did. I became her. Mrs. Jensen, a nurse interrupted. It's time for your medication. Mom flinched at the word. For a moment, I saw myself in that flinch, all the times I'd been medicated for my own good. The cycle stops here, I said firmly. With me? I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. I loved you, she called out, in my own twisted way. I know, I replied, not looking back. That's what makes it worse. Outside, in the harsh sunlight, Soleil caught up to me. What do we do now? We tell the truth, I said, all of it, and then we learn how to live with it. The headlines would keep coming, the story would keep spreading, but for the first time, I wasn't afraid of what people would say, because the truth, however ugly, was finally free. The autumn wind scattered leaves across Grandpa Harold's grave as I placed fresh flowers beside his headstone. The morning sun cast long shadows through the cemetery's trees, and somewhere nearby, a bird called out in the crisp air. I did it, Grandpa, I said softly. Though maybe not quite how you planned. Mom had taken a plea deal, 15 years for fraud and conspiracy. Dad got 8. Soleil avoided jail time, but faced hefty fines and community service. The family name was in tatters, our reputation destroyed. My phone buzzed, Cruz calling. You need to see this, he said without preamble. Remember that offshore account we couldn't trace? It just activated. I sat up straighter. What do you mean, activated? A transfer was initiated this morning to a new charitable foundation. The paperwork lists you as the executor. I didn't set up any foundation. No, Cruz said. Your grandfather did, before he died. The account was set to activate only after certain conditions were met. I touched the cold granite of the headstone. What conditions? The complete exposure of the family's crimes. He knew, Taylor. He knew you'd figure it out eventually. A rustle of leaves made me turn. Ingrid stood there, holding a familiar leather briefcase, Grandpa's favorite. I've been waiting for this day, she said, ending my call with Cruz. Your grandfather left instructions, very specific ones. She opened the briefcase and pulled out an envelope. Inside was a letter, written in Grandpa's distinctive hand. My dearest Taylor, if you're reading this, you've done what I never could. Expose the truth. The foundation is yours now. Use it to help others like you, victims of family abuse and gaslighting. Break the cycles that trap people in gilded cages. But remember, revenge consumes if you let it. I've watched you fight for justice. Now fight for healing. All my love, Harold. There's more, Ingrid said, pulling out another document. The foundation has a name, the Truth Tellers Fund. My hands shook as I read the mission statement: grants for abuse survivors, legal aid for victims of financial fraud, mental health support for those recovering from family trauma. He planned all this? Ingrid smiled sadly. He knew the truth would destroy the family, but he hoped it might save others. A familiar click of heels on pavement made me turn. Soleil stood there, looking uncertain. I thought I'd find you here, she said. I've been doing a lot of thinking. About truth, about lies. She took a deep breath. I want to help. With the foundation. If you'll let me. I studied her face. No makeup, no perfect mask. Just my sister, finally real. Why? Because I was part of the problem. And maybe I can be part of the solution. She pulled out her phone. I've been getting messages from other people like us, children of wealthy families trapped in cycles of abuse and control. They need help. It won't be easy, I warned. No more pretty lies. No more covering up ugly truths. I know. She squared her shoulders. But I'm ready to tell the truth. All of it. My phone buzzed again. Cruz sending documents about the foundation, about healing, about hope. Okay, I said finally. But we do this right. No shortcuts. No compromises. No more tea, Soleil added with a weak smile. I touched Grandpa's headstone one last time. He'd given me more than money. He'd given me purpose. Miss Taylor, Ingrid said gently, there's one more thing. She pulled out a small key. To your grandfather's private study. He said you'd know when it was time. I did know. It was time to stop looking back at the damage and start looking forward to the healing. Coming? I asked Soleil. She nodded, falling into step beside me. We walked through the autumn morning, leaving the graves and shadows behind. The truth had torn our family apart, but maybe, just maybe, it could help put other families back together. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Mom's prison psychiatrist. She's asking to make amends, real ones this time. No games, no lies. Your choice. I showed the message to Soleil. She squeezed my hand. Whatever you decide, she said. I'm here, for real this time. I looked at the message again, then at the key in my hand. Grandpa Harold had known this moment would come, when the truth wasn't just about exposing lies, but about choosing what to build from the ashes. Tell her, I typed back, that the truth is a good place to start. The morning sun broke through the clouds, warm on my face. Ahead lay a new path, not of revenge, but of restoration, and this time I wasn't walking it alone.